Hello YouTube and welcome to another X-Plane video. Now I wasn't going to do another one of these videos, but after looking at the play statistics, the X-Plane videos seem to be pretty popular. I was watching an episode of Angle of Attack the other day and they did a pretty scenic flight from Homer here, up in Alaska if we zoom out, from Homer Airfield all the way up to Port Ellsworth. And so after lots of staring at the screen trying to figure out his flight plan off of his iPad and things like that, I will link the video in the description below. This seems to be the path he took, so this is the path I'm taking today. Starting here at Homer, heading pretty much north up to Kenai, and then over the Clark's Inlet, down through Clark's Pass, and then down into Port Ellsworth. So this section of the flight here will be all canyon flying, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So let's get into it. So here we are at Homer Airport, and as you can see it's a beautiful crisp morning this morning, and this is my B200 Super King Air, which it's a little bit dark but you can just make out has got my P2B aviation markings. And we'll head around. And the first thing we'll do is get rid of those cones and chocks because we're not going to need those. And we'll head into the aircraft. You can see it's a bit dark. I'll just open the cockpit door. And you can just see the leather interior. So first thing I think I'll do is turn on some power so we can actually see what we're doing. So I'll head up to the front of the cockpit. And I'll just hide the yoke so I can see the switches and turn on the battery switch, the lights, and the cabin lights. So now you can see the beautiful leather interior in this aircraft, and we've got fold out tables which we won't be using on this flight, one on each side, and we'll go up here and close the door. Okay, now we'll get comfortable in the cockpit. Just going to make sure that's off because it has a habit of starting on. And we've got caution and alarm because nothing's configured, which is normal. We're going to get that armrest out of the way. And we've got power on already. Normally we'd be doing a ground start, but this particular plane doesn't simulate that. So we're going to have a look around, make sure there's no one around that we could potentially injure by doing our startup. We're going to turn on our lights, just so people know that we're about to start up. And if we have a quick look outside, we can now see all of our lights working. Now I won't bore you to death with a pre-flight check. You can just assume for the sake of this video that I've already done that. And let's start our engines. So we're going to turn on our auto ignition arms, get those ready to go. Make sure our fuel is right back, bring our props all the way back so that they're not going to start trying to pull the plane forwards once the engines start. And now we're going to start our right hand starter. And we're going to look to make sure the propeller actually starts moving. And then we're going to come down to our instruments, and once that turbine speed levels off, which is about there, we're going to introduce fuel into the turbine. And just keeping an eye on our instruments, make sure we don't go over any red lines. Turn our starter off and our generator on to recharge the batteries after that startup. And we're just watching that torque gauge, waiting for that to settle a little bit. And everything seems to be okay, so we will do the exact same procedure with engine 2. Ignition on. Blades are moving. Watch our turbine speed. And introduce fuel. Still a bit dark in this cockpit this morning. Making sure everything seems happy. Starter off. Generator on. And now that that's settling back down, we can bring our fuel mix up to full rich. Make sure our propeller sync is on. And now we can bring in our avionics. So avionics master power on. We're going to bring our transponder into standby, and it's already on 1200, which is the VFR flight code. And bring on our EIFS, which is our artificial horizon and direction indicator. Now we can bring our propellers up to full RPM. Shortly we will listen to the ATIS channel to get the weather information and set our instruments up, but we can prepare by setting GPS. We're going to set our autopilot altitude to about 5,000 feet. Turn off our auto arms. Check to make sure we have no warnings. So we've got 2 warnings about bleed air, which we can turn on. We're not going to need bleed air, that's just the cabin pressure and oxygen for when you go over hypoxia type altitudes. So the only warning we have now is battery charge, which will go away once the batteries have recharged a little bit. So now we can bring on our landing lights, which are going to act a little bit like headlights. And we can now get our clearance and start our taxi. So here we go.